Peace and blessings. This is Rayesa Gheewala, the Divorced Muslimah Coach, and I am your host here in the Divorce Muslimah Network, and we are on another episode of our weekly wisdom. And today's topic is about seeking closure from a relationship to heal and move forward. So, what are we talking about here? We're talking about breakups, we're talking about heartache, we're talking about heartbreak, right? And in particular, in terms of relationships, it can, a breakup can feel like heartache, right? It can feel even devastation, can feel debilitating. And so where do you go? Thing is, like, what do you do in those moments? How do you function? Because sometimes people can't even function. Sometimes it's like, how do I just function day by day? How do I not fall into anxiety or depression? How do I, when you're in the thick of it, you're not thinking about moving on, but when you've been dealing with it for a while, you're like, okay, well, what does this mean for me? Where do I go from here? What's next for me? Am I just going to stay in this, sad, sorry state of, that I am, the reality that I am creating for myself? So the topic really is about what is it that you need in order to move forward, right? So first thing we have to recognize is that being able to process your emotions. Anytime there is a breakup, there is going to be a loss. And with that loss comes the pain of grief, right? So you're experiencing a range of emotions of anger, shock, denial, sadness, all of those things. So first thing is processing those. And how to process that in a healthy way. And what I mean by that is that when we have big feelings, like we're saying, let's say you're stressed out, or you're feeling fear or anger, whatever those big feelings are, you have a way that you cope with your feelings, right? And that's already subconsciously ingrained since the time that you were a child. And so you're just enacting those patterns of how you're coping with it. So when I say a healthy way of coping and processing all the emotions that you're having from this breakup that's swooning all around within you, you want to be able to kind of break it down and say, like, I'm feeling sadness, I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling betrayal, I'm feeling hopeless, all those normal range of feelings that we feel, but not coping with them through like unhealthy ways would be self-sabotage. And that could be, I talked about this in another video about self-sabotaging would be like, retail therapy, like blowing your budget, or, going into debt, or emotional eating, overeating, any of those addictive type of behaviors that just numb the pain, but don't solve it, right? So that would be unhealthy ways. Or perhaps, rushing into another relationship just to kill that pain and avoid the feelings or that emptiness or that void, so you don't have to face it. So processing those emotions. And then the second part would be understanding what you're feeling. Assalamu alaikum, Faryal, good to see you. Understanding what you're feeling, meaning like, where is your pain stemming from, right? Your feelings, and owning them. Because anytime we're having big feelings, but we are attaching those feelings to something or someone or some situation or some circumstance, then there's nothing. We've completely lost our ownership. We've lost our autonomy. We've lost any agency. We have lost the individuality of how you're going to move forward. Then you're stuck because you've completely handed over, and it sounds very cliche to say, but the reality is you completely handed over your power of individuality, authenticity, agency, and self-actualization to something or someone else. Then you're done for it. Like then it is a hopeless situation, because there's nowhere to, you're completely stuck. There's nowhere to move forward from this. So understanding that your feelings are coming from within you, and you own them. We're not assigning feelings to, it doesn't work that way. Assigning feelings to people who did X, Y, and Z to you, or people who said X, Y, Z to you, or the situation that you're in and the circumstance that you're in. So yes, that doesn't negate or take away any trauma that you've been through, or perhaps how someone treated you or what you went through. It does not take that away. It just says that I'm having a lot of anger about that I had to go through this, or that I was subjected to this. But recognizing that your anger is coming from your own thought in the moment, and how your thought around the situation, your thinking around the situation, not the actual situation, because it puts all of the agency and the power back into your own hands. And when that happens, you have an opportunity and a choice. How are you going to move forward? What are you going to do with it? Rather than just staying stuck. And because it's when we can't see that, it's when it looks to us that someone or something is causing our anger or our frustration or our sadness, then we become stuck, because now we need them to fix it. Now we need the situation or circumstance to change, and life doesn't work that way, because we don't have power or control over people. We don't have power or control over outcomes. That's, the only thing that we do have power or control over, not even our own thinking. We have power and control over our responses, our choices, right? Conscious thinking, yes, but sometimes, like when a thought comes to you, like you can't just unthink it, or make it disappear, because it just doesn't work that way, right? So processing emotions was one, understanding where your feelings are coming from and owning them. And then the third thing was, why is it necessary? Why it's not actually necessary to get anything from anyone in order to heal and allow yourself to move forward. And the reason why I said that goes directly to what I just said in number 2, is that when you recognize that your feelings are coming from yourself and that you're owning them, no one needs to do anything or change anything or fix anything for you in order for you to be okay. Meaning, like, it's within yourself, because that healing and that well-being, it comes from you. It comes from within you. It's something that you're born with. It's your birthright. It's part of your fitra, right? Because you're already whole. You're already complete. You already came here on this earth on the fitra. And so it's not, and sometimes it's just not seeing it in that moment. You don't feel whole. Even though you actually are. So if you're not feeling it, then you're not thinking you are, and you're not believing it, even though you actually are. And so you've lost sight of it in that moment. And you're not able to access the healing. And sorry, I got a phone call. So what was I saying? So, you're just not able to see it and access it in that moment, from all of the chaos, the internal chaos that's going on from perhaps even the trauma that you have gone through, right? And being distant or being unaware, and even perhaps corrupted from your natural fitra, which is, your fitra actually is your natural state of peace that you were born into. It's that natural state of tawakkul. It's the natural and automatic connection to Allah that we were all created with, and that we all came here onto this earth with. And then along the way, how our fitra even got corrupted is because our hearts started getting attached to other things and people other than what it was designed for, which is Allah. Right? So so I talked a little bit about why you don't need anyone or anything to do anything or say anything or understand you, or in order to have that healing which is already within you, to have the necessary closure you need to put that event to rest in your mind, right? Because that is where you're going to be keeping it alive. If it's staying alive, it's in your mind where you're going to be keeping it alive through your through how you're perceiving it, to perhaps even the stories that you're building around those events. And so the way to actually know how you're ready and you're stepping into moving forward is that you're able to reflect on the situation or the trauma or the breakup or whatever it is that you need to move forward from, and reflect and learn from it, right? Meaning take the lessons and the learnings from it, and it no longer makes you cry and you no longer have big feelings about it. Like it's a very neutral, matter-of-fact event that happened, but there's no stories attached to it. There's no emotion attached to it anymore. It's just become, part of your Shiro's story that you have grown stronger from. And you're no longer spending time in figuring out how could this happen? Why did this happen? Why did he do this? How could this be? I did all the right things and I still ended up here. Why? Trying to get the answers for that, because that's not going to allow you to move forward. It's just going to keep you stuck in that cyclical thinking pattern. Right? And then from that space, you're going to be, when you're able to reflect and learn, you're also be in this space of acceptance, meaning that you're not tying the event or the circumstance or the situation or what someone is doing to you or did to you, or even saying to you, to your value, to your worth. It's not about, you recognize very clearly where your self-worth is coming from, and you know that it's not coming from an event or a circumstance or, a breakup in your life. And so that's how you can really, that's a really good way of just looking at closure and looking at, like I said, processing, understanding, and owning your feelings, where they're coming from, where they're not coming from, and being able to draw the reflection and the lesson and evolve and grow from it. And if you are interested and you're ready to actually live this and be this, then I want you to reach out to me, and I want you to, this is the type of work that we do in my mastermind. And it's a group coaching program, and being in a small, intimate group allows you to process this out loud. And there's no magic recipe, and there's no magic pill for this, in terms of, okay, do this, follow this, and then you'll be fine in terms of acceptance, in terms of closure, in terms of moving on as if nothing happened. No, this is a journey of self-awareness, of self-actualization, self-realization. And so each person's individual journey is going to be an individual experience. It's going to be between you and Allah and me as a facilitator. So it's not, it's something that you have to not feel like it's not a quick fix, because life is not about being a quick fix. It's really about the journey of understanding yourself. I mean, if you think about it, thank you for the hearts, this whole process of being alive on this earth is only to worship Allah. And what does that mean? That means that we can't worship Allah unless we know Him and love Him, and we can't do that unless we know and love ourselves. And in order to do that, we need that self-awareness. We need to understand ourselves. We need to understand ourselves through our relationship with God. And that is all a journey and a process. We come from God, we go through this life with God, and we go back to God. So that is the journey, and if you're ready to embrace it, and you want those type of results where you don't have to be riding the roller coaster of life, but you can go through the roller coaster with resilience, with calmness and with clarity and confidence. And then this is the program for you, and I can't wait to talk to you. So I'll drop the link here and for you to find out more.